I'm Joanna Simpson here at Risk Minds International, and joining me now is Bruno Castor, Head of Market Risk at Murex. Thank you very much for joining me. And what do we mean by synergies in terms of easing the regulatory burden on banks?
Okay, so the idea is to have a holistic approach when dealing with regulations. So what I mean here is that we try to put all regulations on a map and try to draw lines between them and identify synergies and their implications. So let me explain what I mean by regulatory map. It starts with trades valuation. So once the map is set up, we can highlight that there are cases where a service-oriented architecture is benefiting to several regulations at once, instead of looking at them one by one. And this is one example, but even more, we will see that the emergence of central desks to manage actively the implications of the regulations will require risk measures based on those regulatory requirements as building blocks for further applications. And this leads us to consider regulations as services themselves.
Beyond the technical synergies, are there any other gains that can be made?
Yes, and to do that we have to assume, so let's go back to the map and assume that all regulations have been implemented and they are all there in production. Okay, so trading has become more complex and more costly, and those costs lead to the emergence of central desks in order to manage actively the implication of those costs. So let's just take one example. So a comparison between XVA desk and the treasury desk. XVA desk is mainly responsible to charge in derivatives pricing the counterparty risk with CVA, DVA, funding cost with FVA, MVA, and the impact on capital of trading with KVA. Treasury desk is mainly responsible to funding the trading activity, and also to monitor liquidity buffers. But for the first part, we just said that XVA is responsible for incorporating in the derivatives pricing the funding cost, and treasury desk is responsible to actually fund the activity and the trading activity. So, and eventually charge the desk for that. So in the end, there will be a need for a reconciliation between how you charge the funding cost and how you are going to fund them. And so what will be the relationship between XVA desk and treasury desk with respect to the MVA or FVA value? And here we see that those overlaps lead us to consider that the risk measures, those risk measures I was referring to, will be shared across different activities, and so will serve different applications. Okay, and if we go one last step further, actually it has to all work in real time, because trading is about, so when the client will send a request for quote, the trading will price the trade, of course, compute a CVA if it's a non-client, for instance. So compute a CVA, compute an FVA for which we will require to have access to the VM collateral balance. Compute an MVA depending on the hedging strategy the trader will have. We will have to compute an MVA, meaning we will look for a potential counterparty with whom we are going to hedge, and probably want to minimize the impact on the incremental IM. So there will be a kind of optimization here, and do the same if the trade is cleared through several CCPs. Once identified, forecast the IM throughout the life of the trade and produce the MVA. And then the KVA, and the KVA will require to have access to the SSCR incrementally, CVA capital charge in the future incrementally, again, potentially FRTB, and of course forecast those through a KVA number, and all this in real time. So it means that the full regulatory map or factory it has become will have to be crossed in real time. And so this is very interesting because in the end, this is where we will bring the most value out of the systems we are building. It's through delivering regulations, of course, to serve first the regulatory requirements, but then to be able to build applications so that the bank can actually manage actively all the regulatory requirements.
Bruno Castor, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.